I'm proud to present to you the man behind the video, behind this huge history video that took me over a week to produce it. And if it wasn't for this man, my main man, Jeronimo Milo, right now joining us on the podcast, if it wasn't for him, this video wouldn't have gotten made. I wouldn't have been able to dive deeper into the origin stories of kettlebells. So Jeronimo, please introduce yourselves.
Well, I think you will achieve you can do it because I think you are like me. You are all time asking the whys and trying to figure out why some kettlebell exercise is used, what's the function of some kettlebell exercise, and I think you will finish maybe writing the same as I wrote, because you only need more time in order to seeking for this evidence and do this research the same as I did. I think it took me maybe, I don't know, maybe 15 years to recollect all this information, and not 15 years in a total of 15 years, Matt, but maybe I spent the last year or the year before I finished my book recollecting all this information,
piecing together all the pieces, right? Yeah.
Yes, because in 15 years I did a lot. I make me a lot of questions, like you, that I saw you all time making questions for yourself, and for all this kettlebell world that we live. So I don't want to bore people about me. I think it will bore a lot you YouTube followers, but I train kettlebells maybe since 2006, 2007.
Wow. 16 years, man.
Wow. Yes. All time, for the first day that I starting to train with kettlebells, I always make a lot of questions about what is this for, who was the first guy to lift, were actually the Russians who create these techniques, why they call the Turkish get up, if I don't have any evidence that is from Turkey. Yes. I always had a lot of questions and whys, and maybe my life is dedicated to trying to answer this, not only for kettlebells, but for martial arts, for how the body works, about the physiology and anatomy, and that's the main reason that I study a lot physiology, anatomy, and history. And last year I worked like hell trying to figure out to answer all these questions. That what was the first year that people start to lift kettlebell? What kind of exercise they did, or what's the true origin of the Turkish get up? And all these questions make me to do a big research and a crazy research, because sometimes I ended up in strange places like Russian black forums or black internet, or places really strange.
The deep ends, right?
The deep web, yes.
The deep web.
And sometimes I have to deal with libraries in
Yeah.
France or German or
So you
Germany
called
or
and you called them up. I mean, that's what you shared with me. You called those libraries, all these museums. So you had those questions. One of the museums that I actually know about is the Stark Center in Germany, right? But how? So you called them up, you sent them a
Well,
letter, and what happened?
as you see, my English is not that good to call some guy in Germany and try to speak because my German is not good. Um, I sent maybe, I don't know, a lot of emails. Uh, I asked for help to some friends who speak German well, and I know a little bit about French, and I sent a lot of email to French libraries, English libraries, or libraries from the United States, but most of them were Germans. And most guys were really pleased to answer me. So that's
great.
a good
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
great. I find some books that are really difficult to find, like Siebert's book.
Yeah.
Some books are impossible to get, and other books like Kraszewski's first book. It
There's
don't
not even a
exist.
print.
It doesn't even exist.
Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, you called up these libraries. So you talked to these museums. You had friends who helped you out, so that you can even
Yes.
reach these guys, and they were open to respond, and they sent you all the information, which is awesome. But now let me backtrack just a little bit, Jeronimo. I mean, you're originally from Latin America, so how did you
Yes.
even discover the kettlebell, and how was back in the day?
Oh,
I mean,
that's-
2006. In Latin America, in Buenos Aires, Argentina, how was it? How was the surroundings with kettlebells and stuff?
Oh man, I don't want. I will see it again. I don't want to bore people about how difficult it is to get things in my country. This is a nice place. Argentina is a great place. It's not like Syria or an African country, but it's really difficult to live here because I will give you one example. And I won't bore you anymore than this example. Maybe in 2013, you know Arseny Chernikov from Russia? He's one Arseny Chernikov. He's kettlebell lifters. He's a great kettlebell lifter. Maybe he's one of the best in his category because he weighed maybe 62 kilos.
So
And
Arseny
Chernikov. Chernikov. Yes, he was. I brought him maybe to Argentina maybe 3 or 4 times. And when he was here in Argentina in 2013, the currency here was $1, 7 pesos. Okay, $1, 7 pesos.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Right now, our actual currency is $1, 220 pesos. Yes,
inflation.
it's crazy, man.
Oh my
It's-
God, what happened?
This
man?
place, this country is
man.
totally messed with
Wow.
these things. And when I started to try to train kettlebells, the kettlebells didn't exist here. I hear the podcast with that guy from Canada. I think he's
Sean Mosen,
Luca
yeah.
or Sean Mosen.
Sean
Yes,
Mosen, yeah.
and he says, "Oh yes, it was really difficult to bring kettlebells." I understand him, but in my country, it's impossible to export things because we have like crazy custom here. It's impossible to get a book from Amazon. Yes, it's
And
okay.
even still today, it's
It's worse.
it's
Today
even
it's
worse. Oh my God.
Yes, it's even worse. And at that time, we don't have kettlebells. I only have some Pavel's PDF that reached my country, and it was great, man, because I was a martial artist all my life, and when I read the kettlebell, the Pavel's book, I went totally crazy, man. It was great for in that moment. In that moment, it was a lot for me, and I choose. Okay, I need to understand how this works, and I need to bring kettlebells to my country, and it was totally impossible. And I have to go to some foundries here, and finally I finished to yes, man. I met the kettlebells. I spent maybe weeks in AutoCAD trying to figure out how to make that shape, and then I brought to the foundries, and
let's go.
Actually, today all kettlebells here are made by us.
Wow.
In Argentina. It's totally clear. It's nearly impossible trying to bring some kettlebell from another country. It's not reliable.
Because the customs, so just for me to understand it clearly, the customs of Argentina, it's so terrible.
So they are too demanding.
So it's not even worth it. It's not even worth it to
no. It's impossible. It's impossible. Okay. But I don't want to bore people about
You're
how
not boring
difficult
anybody,
it is in Argentina. Because this is
listen, Jeronimo, you're not boring anybody, and even if then they turn off, I don't care about this, because this is actual history.
Okay.
And the thing that just popped in my mind is we have, I mean, the respect and the homage that we are paying to these OGs from that we're going to talk about, from the classics and these guys, and Hackenschmidt and Krajewski and all these guys. But I put you and Sean in a similar category, because you are guys who didn't stop at nothing. You were like, okay, I gotta bring this somehow into my country. Yes. And I think if I may misinterpret it, but I think if my recollection is right, Sean even said that he started with a foundry. So
yes, I think it's not easy even in Canada. It's not easy even in Canada too.
And that's why we have to put this on the record, and that's why people who are interested and who love what we do will be interested in listening to what you have to say, because you went the distance, right? And I have, at this point, I have to acknowledge my privilege of living in Switzerland, being able to, we have access to everything, even back in 2013 or 2012. And then when I hear from you guys, it's very humbling. And very, very inspiring, man. Yeah. So keep going. So then you went to the foundry, you built your kettle.
Okay, I went to the foundry, I built my own kettlebells in Argentina. That's crazy. I have, I don't know, million of history about this. One time I went to St. Petersburg, and I bought a kettlebell from Ranschinsky. In his own shame.
Vrasensky?
Yes, Ranschinsky. I said, please, Ranschinsky, just sell me a kettlebell, because I need one kettlebell in the Ural model,
The Ural model, yeah.
Ural model, yes.
Yeah.
And I have to, well, I don't know, man. One time in Germany, I bought a kettlebell in order to get the perfect shape. Yeah. Yes, the perfect diameter, yes. Because we don't have pro-grade kettlebells in Argentina. Wow. And I bought for some guy in Haltern am See. Haltern am See. And one night I have to take this kettlebell and one kettlebell, and maybe I don't remember well, but I bought two club bells, and I have this 20 kilos in my back, and I had to maybe walk 15 kilometers because I can't figure out how to take a bus in Germany. And I was totally lost in a forest. I'm not kidding, okay? Yes, I was totally lost in a Sherman forest at night, totally, it was totally terrifying for me, and it maybe broke my back, and all to bring this model to Argentina. Yes, it was totally crazy, man.
This is incredible.
I think
Okay,
this is the first time I told this.
Wow,
story.
this is awesome, and it's the perfect place to share this story. Let me tell you, brother. So I have two questions there before we continue, because you talked about Wraszewski. So I just want to make sure that we're talking about the same person, because I just bought the book from, and I have to see if I have the book right
Yes.
here. The fundamentals of, and I have the PDF right here. The fundamentals of of special strength training in sport. It's Verkhoshansky. Is it that dude?
No.
Verkhoshansky.
It was Rashchinsky.
Rashinsky.
Sergei Rashchinsky.
Sergei Rashinsky.
He's like the grandfather of kettlebell lifting in St. Petersburg, because he owns a lot of gyms. If you go to Rashchinsky gyms, you can find, I don't know, all these guys like Anton Anasenko and I don't know, the guy who you did,
Vasilev, yeah.
Denis Vasilev.
Yeah.
Well, one time Denis Vasilev, I'm really grateful for him. I never took a class with Vasilev. I took class with Rashchinsky and Kostov, Anton Anasenko, that he's one of my teachers. But one time, Denis Vasilev took me in his car for one gym to another gym in St. Petersburg.
Cool.
He spent a lot of time answering all my questions about kettlebell sport, and I'm really grateful for.
That sounds like
guy.
him. Sounds like him. When we had this conversation for I think 2 hours, and he answered everything in detail.
Yes, he's right. He's really humble. He's really humble. He's a really good person.
Dennis is a cyborg, and he talks like with that humble. He could walk around acting like Muhammad Ali, the way he handles the kettlebell. So and another thing that I want to point out. So that was the first thing. You have the story in the forest. You have Germany. You have all the things. So my question, because I asked Sean Mosen the same question. Why? Why did you go at this great lengths to really bring the kettlebell into Argentina? Did you feel like, wow, this is something that's so special, so unique, or I'm just hooked because I'm a martial artist? What was it? Why?
Well, I think it's the same reason when you ask me why I share all this information with people, that I find that kettlebell was a game changer for me. Okay. At this time, when I started to lift kettlebells, I found the perfect way to train for a martial artist. And then I realized that it's perfect for your health, and perfect for your posture, and perfect for, I don't know, everything that involves your health. And I really think that I try to be, I will say it again, because I told you maybe 100 times on our WhatsApp audios. Okay, people, listen. Every day when I wake up, I see my phone, and I see Liv Stark's 2 messages from Liv Stark, maybe 15 minutes each message. I respond to him maybe with 10 or 15 small message.
Yes.
You know, this was all day, and maybe in each message that I send to Gregory, I say the same thing. And I will read, because this is one thing that one important guy say to the world that wasn't me, is be that person who wasn't there for you, for someone else. Be that person who wasn't there for you, for someone else. If we can make this real, we fix the war maybe in 10 minutes. Okay, the war is fixed in 10 minutes. If we can be that person that wasn't there for you, for someone else. So that's the main reason that I want kettlebells to be known. I want people to know the truth about kettlebells. As we always say, I don't think I will have the 100% truth about this, but only we are trying to get more close to the 100. I think we never will do that. It's impossible because I don't know what the truth is. Maybe nobody knows what is the truth, but we're trying to get him more close to the truth about kettlebells, about what's his real history and what's the real function. Because when you know the real history, you are more close to the real function of the exercise, and that's one of the
That's a big one. That's a big one. we could stop right here.
Yes. Okay. So when you are more close to the history, I think you are more close to the real function. And the main problem today, nowadays, the main problem is that people are doing a lot of kettlebell exercise without knowing the real function. As you see in windmills, come on, who knows what to do in windmills? Nobody, because they don't know where to put the intention, where to put the tension, and that's why you see in Google a lot of shit, man. Come on, it's full of shit, because I don't want to speak trash about people. I'm not like Gregory that has a special place in his YouTube channel to speak about people, and he said, "No, I'm only giving."
Just give him feedback.
I don't know. I feel bad. But I will tell you the truth right now. First time I saw you, I didn't like you.
Oh, okay.
I didn't like you. And I think it's important to say it here in order to improve our relationship.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah.
Yes, first time I didn't like you. It was.
And what did you see? What was the first thing you see? Yeah.
I think it was my prejudice. I don't know how to spell this.
What video did you see? One video?
I don't know. No.
Okay.
I only saw. I saw your thumbnails, and I didn't like your thumbnail. I say, oh, these thumbnails are great. He's making better thumbnails than mine. I know. My ego was totally destroyed. He's making better thumbnails than I am, so I hate this guy. I don't like why is he criticizing people? And then one day I started to see your videos and I like them. Okay, I like them. I say, oh, this guy has something. This guy has something. And I will be totally true right now with you on all your YouTube followers. In some point, I say, what if this guy someday put me in his reaction videos? I will be in problem.
Stop it, man. Stop this. Stop it, man. No.
So I say, I will send you my book to this guy. And now I totally own this guy, and he respect me, and I won't be in his reaction videos. I won't be, man. I won't be. So let me say my cat is totally crazy here. Let me say the last thing I will say, okay? People, Gregory followers in YouTube, do you think maybe in these reaction videos, maybe you need an attorney because you're like a prosecutor in your videos? Am I right?
Sometimes.
You are like the
Sometimes.
prosecutor.
Yeah.
So I think if people vote, people please vote here. Okay, if people vote, maybe you will need a attorney in your video, something like devil's. How do you
Advocate.
call devil's
Advocate.
attorney?
Yeah.
Devil's advocate or something like that.
Yeah.
Like Keanu Reeves.
Yes.
Okay, so probably I can be like Keanu Reeves trying to defend all that shit that people are doing when they when I trying to do some windmills and you say no, this is not good, and I probably will say, oh, it's okay, maybe they won't die. Come on, Gregory, these people won't die. Don't be so hard on them.
Yeah.
So no, this is important. Trying to get the thread back. This is important. I think the big problem in Kettlebell is that people don't know what is the real function of the exercise. The problem is not that people are doing it wrong. The people is they don't know what the exercise are for. Don't you get me?
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah.
Because they are doing the windmill. The windmill is the best example.
Yeah.
They don't know what it's need for.
The band press is even a better example, right?
Forget it about it. The band press is impossible.
It's about, and
it's impossible.
I think, you know, I was in that same place. I was in exactly the same place where many people that watch our reactions are probably in right now. And this is where I feel the void, or this idea that you're presenting. Be that person for somebody who didn't have it back then. Be it now and be it for them.
Beautiful.
This is what I do with the reactions, because you know sometimes people are critiquing on a very harsh level. I try to just share love, because at the end of the day, we're all human beings. We all make mistakes. Yet I was in that same category. I didn't know what I mean. I can use the kettlebell and do dumbbell exercises with it and be totally fine, right? But as soon as we start swinging, as soon as we engage with a bench press and all these crazy exercises, and then you need to understand, okay, what is the idea behind it? So I like where you're coming from with the history. And if I may, Jeronimo, pivot now from your story into the history. Now, can you give us an exact, and maybe not an exact, but a somehow starting point of where kettlebells came into not existence, but because we know it's weights on markets. We know that they were used as weights on markets, but where is the exact point where we started using the exercise, the kettlebell?
Here it's really important to differentiate two things. Where the kettlebell started in his final shape, like his spherical shape, it's undeniable that it started in Russia. Okay, I have this decree, or I don't know how to spell. Let me see. That it started in 1670. Here I have in my book, because I can remember everything. In the 1791, this the Post, the one that he was an emperor of Russia, he made a decree.
Yeah, I remember from the book.
And I have this decree here in order to prove what I'm saying. And he says that weights have to be spherical and with a handle, okay? Because before that, the kettlebells or the weights for the scales in Russia were like prismatic shapes. It was like a prismatic shape with a handle. Sometimes maybe they were made. They were forged, okay? And by 1791, in this Paul's decree, Paul the First decree or something like that. I don't remember. He asked, he ordered that weights would be in a spherical shape. So we need here to separate two things: the kettlebell as a tool, okay, a spherical tool, and the kettlebell techniques that we know nowadays. This is very, very important. And maybe I will get some, I don't know, red point laser in my forehead for saying this.
We already got this, man.
Me and you?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
We already got this. But
I have maybe 2 or 3 here right now.
The style. Yeah. So just to make it clear on that point that you just shared, we can say that 1791. That's
91.
That's 1791.
1791. Yes, 1791
is when the Russian Tsar.
I think it was the Russians, yes.
Right?
Tsar or emperor, I don't know.
Emperor or whoever. He decided, he made the decree that from now on, this day, we have to use spherical scale weights with a handle. That's it.
Before that, we don't have any evidence that the weights were spherical. The only evidence that we have in Russia is that they were in a prismatic shape. Okay?
Okay. Yeah, we got this.
I don't know what God will tell you. I don't know if any book say another thing, but the actual evidence that I have until now is this.
Okay.
It's 1791, and I know you people will start to say no. Kettlebell in a spherical shape, starting in the 16.
Yeah, whatever.
I don't know what year, but they don't have any evidence. Okay.
Okay.
All this is about evidence. This is like CSI TV show, as I told you.
Yeah, most definitely.
Okay, evidence will speak the truth.
And this, this is, I think this is important to note for everybody that's watching and listening. What Jeronimo is sharing is not just stories and legends, but hard proof, documents, evidence, forms, pictures, books. It's the real thing. And we have to, and this is maybe something that we have to include now because we talked about this on WhatsApp stories. There might be stories and legends that it maybe was used even in earlier times, that another emperor from another state or part of the world
decided. Probably it's right. Probably right, but we don't have proofs.
Yes, that's it. Evidence. So we don't have actual evidence. Yeah.
I'm not denying that prior to 1791, the kettlebell in a spherical shape exists. I'm not denying that. But the only proofs and evidence that I have are these.
Right.
And if you have more proofs, be my guest.
Share it.
Okay, I will change my mind.
Yeah.
I'm the guy in the chair with a big sign saying "Change my mind." Come on, no problem.
Exactly, Stephen Crowder. Yeah. So then we have so this is the inception of the spherical weight with a handle, and back then it was used, let's just assume it was used as scale weights. So now let's switch into that second category that you want to talk about, and when did they start using it as techniques and practice?
Let's finish with the first. Sorry for interrupt you.
I'm sorry.
Because some guy or some girl could say, oh no, they exist before in China.
Mm-hmm.
They used to be in Germany. They used to be in France. Okay, you are right. There used to be similar tools to kettlebells, or tools that people use in the same way that we use kettlebells nowadays. It's okay. I'm with you totally, but those are not kettlebells. Okay, the kettlebell is a ball with handle, without discussion. Okay, and did the Chinese do something similar in China with the stone locks?
Yeah.
Yes, they did. Yes, for sure. And maybe 1,000 years before kettlebells. But those are not kettlebells. Those are similar tools. I call it that way. Similar tools that probably people use for the same function, because Chinese used to shuttle with this stone weight, and Sherman used to lift some kind of bullet weight shape with ring.
And you even shared in your book
Switzerland. A lot of this.
Switzerland.
Yes,
a stone with a
stone,
chain
with
on
a
it.
Hammer.
Yes.
In France, this big rectangular shapen weights with a ring, le poivre, and it's all in my book. I'm not denying this, but what we call Kettlebell is like the kettle and the kettle shape and weight and the bell shape. It started in Russia. Okay, it seems it started in 1791.
Yes.
Second point that you asked me. Okay.
But wait a second. Wait a second, Jeronimo, because we touched on a stone lock. Keep the second point. I've written it down when technique started. But now, because you brushed on the stone lock. The stone lock are the concrete blocks, right? Where I saw it. They do swings. They do funny cleans. I even did one of these ideas with a kettlebell on our Instagram. So
they do snatch. They do shouldering. They shoulder. Yes.
But it's not. We can say this is not.
It's not a kettlebell. Come on. It's a stone lock. It's a stone lock.
It's a stone lock.
They use for the same reasons that a German or a French or a Russian finish using a kettlebell to obtain the same function. You know, ballistic, to improve your balance, to improve your back, to improve your shoulder, for the same, because people were seeking for the same things. If I were a Chinese guy, I don't know, in the 1200 year, and I want to improve my striking, it will be a really good idea to lift some kind of tool that gives me more balance, that give me more power, that improve my back, that improve my core. Okay, so it's the same. I know that this is but we can call it kettlebell, okay? Because the etymology, do you call it this way? The etymology of kettlebell is related to this spherical weight, okay? But it's for the same function, but it's not the same.
And I think that's so important to note, because if we would go even further back into history, we would end up with the bebop stone and the halteres from the Greeks. So we just want to make clear that we're talking about the spherical shaped idea with a handle, and that's where it starts. Okay,
Is that a kettlebell? No, it's not a kettlebell, but it give you the same function, or it give you the same I don't know objectives
benefits,
that you want
and
to
benefits
that you want.
And I love what you said. We are human beings, so human beings all around the planet, we're looking for the same benefit, more strength,
same body. Come on, it's the same.
Same body.
We all have two arms and one head. It's the same.
So we come up with similar ideas, even though we're on a different part of the world. So now let's jump into the second part: technique, training. When does that start?
Wow, this is the tough one. Okay, for me it's impossible to say when did it start, because it's in the kettlebell folklore. We usually say that it's started with the farmers and peasants in Russia, that they should throw the kettlebells in fairs and demonstration, and I think that's true. Okay, I don't have any evidence or photos or pictures or one book that could prove that, but I think it's true, because you can find in farmers nowadays in peasants in Ukraine or in all part of regions of Russia that this kind of people is lifting kettlebells. We don't know anything about modern training or I don't know or YouTube or whatever. I don't have any evidence about this, but I have a lot of evidence that it started in Europe, mainly in Germany and Austria, because the same Russians like Dr. von Kraszewski, Ivan Lebedev, all these guys who taught in Russia, they say in his book that they were inspired by Germans or Austrian guys like Emil Voss, like Theodor Siebert, like, I don't know, a lot of German that, and they import those techniques to Russia. And this is very controversial because when you saw Russian books from 1916 or 1920 or Ukrainian books or books from the USSR, they are doing the same exercise that Germans and French and people from Austria used to train, like Turkish get up. Yes, man. The Russians used to train the get up. Okay, and I have a lot of book in order to demonstrate this, because you can see the get up in some German books, well, in Siebert's book that you already read. He shows the Turkish get up. He didn't call Turkey. We will discuss this later because this is a big hit in this
big topic.
A big hit.
Has to be separated. Yeah.
Okay. I say a lot of things, and people, okay, no problem. When I say Turkish get-up is not from Turkey, people just went crazy.
They want to decapitate you.
They freak out. Oh, don't touch the Turkish get-up.
I saw
Don't touch it.
Experienced this firsthand. Yeah.
Man, I'm saying in my book and here that Kettlebell technique is not for Russia, and people. Okay, no problem. When I say the Turkish get-up is not from Turkey, people should freak out. What happened here? Come on.
It's fascinating. So can we pinpoint this with in my video, and which I have gotten, of course, from all the resources from your book. We started with the Turners around the 18th century.
Yes, the Turners from Germany.
Right. And then, so can we pinpoint it to one particular person, which was probably Felice Napoli, 1860?
Yes, it's really difficult, but Felice Napoli was maybe the grandfather of all these old strongmen, because Felice Napoli was an Italian, and he taught this guy Attila from Germany, and Attila was maybe the big influence for Eugene Sandow and Siebert and Arthur Saxon and Simon Klein and a lot of guys from Germany and France and England and even United States in the 20th century. And this guy is maybe one of the most influential teachers of all times in physical culture, I could say. And he was the guy who invented the bench press and maybe some others kettlebell exercise that we don't know, because it's really difficult to get some evidence. But he inspired a lot of these guys that later inspired some Russian guys like Kraszewski, Hackensmith.
Who was actually, Kraszewski was actually Polish, right?
Yes, Kraszewski
Polish
is
guy?
actually, well,
who
It's
was
really
working for the
difficult.
Tsar. Yeah.
It's really difficult because Sando, short Sando, it's difficult because he's more Persian, like Russian. He's like
Swedish.
from
I know
Persia.
Swedish,
Yes,
Estonian mother,
yes,
and Russian
he's
father.
Swedish.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yes, it's really difficult to set up.
Or was
to
it
say,
Hackenschmidt? I'm sorry. I think I'm mixing it up. I'm sorry.
Hackenschmidt is from Estonia.
Yeah,
And
that's
people
Hackenschmidt.
think he's from Russia, and it's not the same. Come on, Estonia
Yeah.
from Russia, but at
we
that
have
time,
yeah, at that time, that's what we have to
at time it
acknowledge.
was
At that time.
Russia.
Yeah.
Yes, at
So
the
let's-
same from Krashevsky.
So let's not get caught up in
the
the details. But one of the most important aspects that you shared now is we have Felice Napoli, we have Attila, we have Sandow, we have these heavyweights that are building, especially Sandow. Attila was strong, but Sandow really pushed the boundaries even further. And then we have Theodor Siebert in Germany, right?
Yes.
Then you have one of my most pivotal figures, in my opinion, from my perspective, Krajewski, right?
Yes.
So what happened?
Yes. He's
what
the
happened
father.
then?
He's the father of kettlebells in Russia, and maybe the weightlifting fathers in Russia. He's a really important character in Russia. I think the most important. There are two big hits with Krashevsky. The first is that he took maybe all the weightlifting techniques in Europe, because he traveled a lot to Germany, to France, to even to Spain, to Great Britain at that time. And I think he read a lot, because in his books, he even mentioned Indian techniques. That's totally crazy for me, because he mentioned, this kind of techniques that you can do with kettlebells. It's like the same technique that people from India are doing with Indian club, and that was totally that blows my mind, man.
So he was very knowledgeable. Krajewski was knowledgeable not only in terms of training, science, and recovery and all that stuff that he pioneered.
Well, man,
but
he
also,
was the Tsar physician.
Yeah, so he knew a lot in that part.
I
but
think
he was
he's an
also
important guy.
Yeah, most definitely. But he was also open-minded, so he knew practices in Europe. He knew practices in India. So that means he was very open-minded. Yeah,
that's totally crazy. Powerful. And the second thing about Krashevsky is that maybe he was one of the first to try to mixing up medical knowledge with training. So he started to talk about to take ice showers, and he started to talk, in this place we need electricity, lights with electricity, because with oil is not good for your lungs. He started to talk about you need to rest maybe 8 hours. And he started to talk a lot of things that today are common acknowledged.
Yeah. He
started he started to talk about this in the 1890s.
He was a revolutionary. He really set the tone, and what I so love about Krajewski is how Hackenschmidt describes Krajewski in his book The Way to Live. How he says
like a god. He described him like a god.
He said the good doctor had like 100 patients, or even more, I think 150 or 200. I can't remember the name, the number. But he said he had so many patients. And what I love about Krajewski, and that's the reason why he inspired me to even go a little bit further with our academy that we have, the School of Physical Culture, we call it now.
He keep it training also.
Yeah, and
Krajewski keep the training. Come on, he keep lifting kettlebells.
I love this, and what he does, what really struck with me is two things. I mean, and many things, but two things that show his character is, first of all, Hackenschmidt said that he even extended his counsel to people who couldn't afford his counsel.
That's
So
great.
he
That's
gave it to people who couldn't pay for this. So this is very powerful. Hi,
modern.
Nadia.
It's too modern. Yes.
Hello. So that's one thing. Is all right. So he extended his his love and his knowledge to people who didn't have the money. And now the second thing that comes that really blows my mind.
Before Russian Revolution,
Yeah.
before the Russian Revolution, as you remember, you are in the Russian Empire at that time. It's not common to people to help people in distress at that time.
Yes.
Come on.
Yes, at that. So he was a revolutionary in so many ways. And this one thing that I need to mention is Hackenschmidt describes him. He said Krajewski had such a genuine emotion and fascination for feats of strength that when it happened, that he was so genuine and he jumped up full of emotion that it took over the whole room.
And he gave medals to everyone. He's always giving medals.
Pure emotion. So that's why he must have been purely passionate. He was purely passionate about training, moving, feats of strength, training strength. And I got it from him where he says, health is a natural companion of strength.
Wow, that's finished. Finish this for all podcast is finished. Yes, but it's Krajewski was. Yes, Krajewski was.
Yeah. Most definitely. So then Krajewski took it to Russia, and then we're gonna touch on the Turkish Kettlebell.
I'm not saying this. Krajewski say this in his book.
He says this. Yeah, he's inspired.
Hackenschmidt says this.
Yeah,
all these Russian guys, and
they say
I just finished now. I just finished to translate Ivan Lebedev's book for 1926. It's in Spanish. I will try to translate to English from there. And in Lebedev's words, he said the same. He said Krajewski traveled all around Europe trying to find new techniques, and he was devoted to this guy Theodor Siebert. And if you see in the old pictures of Krajewski gyms, in the top of the picture, because he has this kind of altar with a lot of pictures.
Altar,
crazy.
Love it.
And he gathered all these pictures in his travel for Europe, and those are all pictures of European wrestlers and European strongmen. And in the top of this altar is Emil Voss. Guy Emil Voss. Yes, he was maybe one of the big influence for von Krajewski. So
he was French, right? So Emil Voss was French?
Emil Voss was from, I think he's Prussian or from Poland. Let me see. Emil Voss, I have here. Here. Emil Voss. He was from the Prussian Empire.
Prussian Empire, yeah.
Poland at the present day.
Yeah, Polish.
Okay. Yeah. Today is Polish, and well, he has a he's very skilled in kettlebell juggling. As you know, kettlebell juggling is one of the most important keys in kettlebell training, in the old kettlebell training, because maybe all people used to train with kettlebell juggling, and today people don't know.
Oh, most definitely.
What's the function?
I didn't know.
So people here in Argentina, maybe they insult me when I post some Russian doing some juggling or old Sherman circus that are doing some juggling. They say, "Oh, you're like a clown," and they don't understand.
They don't know
that one of the most important abilities that you will acquire with kettlebell juggling is to accelerate, to decelerate the weight and to buffer, I don't know how to call it, buffer the weight in your body. And those are three really important things in martial arts and wrestling and fight. The ability to accelerate the weight, the ability to decelerate is really important in order to avoid injuries.
Wow.
One of the most yes, one of the cause of injury is when people don't know how to decelerate, and they got
same with the swing.
Yes,
you injure yourself if you have a lot of acceleration coming from behind, so in front you have to have some brakes. So
they don't know how eccentric work.
Yeah, it's great. So we can, and that's what we can pinpoint as well. Kettlebell juggling. This is probably the grandfather of kettlebell training. Kettlebell juggling, this is where it probably...
Sure, I don't have any evidence, but the first evidence that you can find, if you did the research, is that people used to train with kettlebells doing juggling. The Austrian guys, you know, in the breweries, I think.
Yeah, in the breweries,
in the breweries, they starting to doing juggling, and the first Russian, maybe the farmers and peasants, they also train in a juggling way, and Chinese with stone lock train with doing juggling, and these people maybe feel or they find that it's important to juggle with weights, with heavy weights. Come on.
Yeah, with heavy
because
weights, man.
You see a lot of people doing juggling in Instagram. That is totally fine for me. It's perfect. Everything that one guy do in order to disseminate kettlebell in the world is okay for me. Do you understand? Maybe I don't like people who juggle with 4 kilos. Come on. I don't understand what kind of ability will you get juggling in that way. I like more the heavy juggling. Okay?
Power juggling,
power juggling, yes.
Yeah, where you need the actual strength to move that stuff. And the actual coordination and gripping, and that's where it comes from. It's that that's releasing it, gripping it, and being able to boom. I like what you said. Buffer the weight for your body.
Buffer for me is the most important. Buffer for me is the most important in juggling. And decelerate.
Yeah.
Is the two most, and it has a lot of benefits. Powerful. Okay, like eye-hand coordination, eye balance. Yes, a lot of things that are really powerful for your health. Okay,
it's fascinating.
And this is very crazy because in Germany they finish. Okay, the kettlebell is this is crazy. Let me try to figure out how to say this. The kettlebell is a tool that people didn't made in order to train. Is what people maybe made a barbell or a dumbbell in order to train, but the kettlebell is not a tool made for training. People just grab one kettlebell and start training. Okay, but in Germany, in the 20s or maybe in the 1910, you can see in the Saxon's books that they use a kind of kettlebell with a rectangular shape of the handle. Handle like
German
rectangular.
kettlebell.
Yes. And we can say that the German kettlebell is manufactured in order to lift kettlebell, but in order to make juggling with kettlebell. So people call in some magazine in the 20s, they call it German kettlebell for juggling, because the handle is very thin and it has a rectangular shape in order to facilitate to grab the kettlebell in the air.
And I think, am I right with this? With my assumption? So we have
right.
for those people who don't know. The German kettlebell was The bell it's in its all by itself, but it had a very
Yes.
large and long
Very
elongated
large and
handle.
long, elongated handle
So,
in a
yeah.
rectangular shape.
Yes, and so in order, that's just what I'm envisioning right now. If I am swinging a kettlebell with a very large handle, and I am juggling it, so the kettlebell starts flipping, I use a lot of force, so I have more time, and I have
Yes.
to grab
more
it in
easier.
because the
Yes.
handle is longer. Yet with a standard or with a competition kettlebell, the handle is way shorter. So yeah, I have
Yes.
to be more powerful and even more quicker, which may be not the best thing if you juggle very heavy weights. Am I right with my
Exactly.
assumption? Oh.
No, you're totally right. And
Wow.
I will surprise you with another thing. In the 90s, in 1920, sorry, in
1920,
the 20s in Germany, they used to have a sport, a kettlebell sport based on shagging, and it was totally crazy, man.
Really?
It's totally crazy because just imagine two teams. This is totally crazy. This is totally different from another thing. This is like the curling in Winter Games. That is totally crazy.
Yeah.
You have two teams, maybe 12 people in each team, and the competition is in an open site, and you have to keep your kettlebells. Every team has maybe the same amount of kettlebells, and you have to keep the kettlebells on the air, and you have to pass through your partner all time, and the team who keeps more time the kettlebells in the air is the one has
team.
the winning team. And it was totally crazy. I have some pictures of this, and it's nuts, man, because they are maybe 20 Shermans in the 20s, shoes juggling kettlebells in the air, totally crazy. And that was a sport before other kind of sport with kettlebell, and it's a totally lost sport in Germany.
See, that's why we got it. We have to bring that stuff back. That we have to talk about that information that has been buried.
We need to honor these guys.
Yeah, we need to honor it, and here
because
it goes.
They gave his life for this. Sieber gave his life for this, and he died in totally poverty. And we need to honor these guys, and not only to honor these people, because I think the highlight that we make in this podcast is we need to understand the history of the kettlebell in order to understand the real function of the kettlebells.
Yeah, I love this. This is the essence.
That's powerful.
of really trying to find out where a tool comes from, because you want to find out what was the original intention of this specific implementation of training or whatever have you. What was the intention? And
it's more easy for you to understand the real function of the exercise. It's more easier. It's more easier, and maybe you will get surprised about some things like the bench press or the windmill or the get up.
So now before we jump into the get up, because I want to dedicate the next 20 minutes or so to the get up.
I think the get up will be the most difficult.
One thing that I really want to mention now is, I mean, we have set a clear case for people who really want to go a step deeper. I have your book linked in the description, and
thank you very much. It was really helpful for me.
No, you're welcome.
Really helpful.
You are the reason why I'm doing this. And the second thing is, at the end of the video, you will see the kettlebell history video where you can just take a deep dive and see.
That's great.
If you want it on video to get the clear story of how it all went down with proof and documents. But now, another thing that I've gotten a response from people who interacted with my stuff that I got from you, that I received from you, and that is, well, I actually started looking on Google But I didn't find anything. Why is that? Why do people go on Google? For example, they type in Emil Voss or they type in Turkish Get Up Charles Pata. We come to this in a second. Why is there nothing shown on Google?
Okay, because they were, I think they were forbidden topics that you can only find on an old books. I found a lot of information in the book from Desbonnet, the Kings of Strength, the Roi de la Force,
Le Roi de la Force,
the Roi de la Force in French, and I discovered a lot of things in that book, and that allowed me to find another books, because in that book he mentioned Charles Bata, and then it was really difficult to find something more about Bata. And you won't believe me, but I find various information about Bata in some Russian forums, like and that was crazy. I find a magazine that dedicated maybe 3 or 4 pages to Charles Bata, and I can spend more information about this character. I think he's one of the most, well, he's the guy, he's the man in the Get Up, totally, because at the moment he's the most older guy that we can find in pictures and description in books about doing some kind of Get Up, or the visage, like they call at that time, that it's translated like unscrewing, because they say you have to unscrew the weight from the ground.
And now that you say this, I recall from reading the book from Theodor Siebert, where he mentions an exercise that he calls Schrauben. And Schrauben means screwing in German.
Yeah. Nice. Wow. I lost that.
Gotta get back at this and reread it, but he said it's Schrauben, screwing. So can we, let's jump then into the Turkish Get Up.
Okay, let's jump in this difficult place. Yes. Okay.
You just go.
Charles Bata, maybe in the 1880. 1880. I will put this here because in the 1818, this guy Charles Bata starting to make some different exercise. He was a specialist to create novel exercise at that time. He want all time to surprise people doing dangerous things, and he started to lift things from the ground. And in order to make it more difficult, he started to put some swords and knives.
Crazy guy.
Yes, he was totally crazy. Come on. And the people start to maybe to ask, okay, Charles, please don't do it anymore, this, because we will die if we see you doing this thing. And he started to lift chariot axles, the axis from chariot. Come on. Maybe it weighs 70 kilos. And it's totally crazy. Man, 70 kilos. And as you see in his picture, he's like skinny or thin, but his forearms are totally massive. It's crazy when you say, "Oh, he's my hero." Come on. When I see this guy, I see a thin guy with very big forearms, and I say, "Oh,
awesome.
I wish I were this guy." And he started to lift chariot axles in his drawings, as you can see in the Desbonnet books. and he put some knife fires at the bottom, and it was totally crazy. And maybe he was the first guy to live in this way, and he called it the visage, that is unscrewing. And then maybe in 1890 people started to call in just simple lifting from the ground,
yeah,
take a weight and get up from the ground, or something like that. But I wasn't able to find one description that say like a Turkish get up. And let me put things clear about this. The only description that you can find is in Hacken Smith's book, when he say lifting weights in a Turk, like a Turk position.
Yeah, sitting Turkish style. Yeah.
Sitting like a Turk.
Yeah, genau.
Okay, or in a Turkish style. At that time, when you do something sitting on the ground, they call you are sitting like a Turk, or you are sitting like an Indian, like an Native American Indian. Okay.
Yeah. And let me just give you a just a small interjection real quick, because
please,
my dad is from the Balkans, right?
Okay.
So what I have in my blood, and I cannot explain it. I think that's the Balkan way, and that's even the Turkish. Now, first of all, we have my heritage even goes back because I have gypsy blood in my veins. My heritage goes even back to India to a certain extent, right?
Wow.
The Roma, they were back in India. So just as a small side note. But now let's talk about the Balkan way. I love sitting on the ground. I love sitting on the floor, not on the couch. Of course, I also enjoy sitting on the couch. But many times when I watch a movie, sometimes I sit down on the floor. And Angie, she's like, hey, when we met, she was like, why are you doing this?
Why?
I just feel comfortable sitting on the floor. And when I see my relatives...
It's on my blood. Come on, it's on my blood.
Yeah. So many of my relatives do this as well. They sit on the floor. And there's one specific way of sitting sometimes. And that is when you have your knees up and one knee's up and the other leg's extended. So you can feel comfortable. Like this.
Yes.
So
like
this
me
is,
right here.
Yeah, so this is probably because we guys from the Balkans and even Turkish folks love to sit and have a chai or have a tea. Yeah, that's the heritage. So I think when people saw this, the get up, is they were relegating, or they were assimilating it. So hey, that's how my Turkish friend sits.
Yes, that's how all people.
Right? Yeah.
Yes.
Just as a side note. Yeah.
Let me put things clear. I'm not saying that people in the Ottoman Empire or in Persia or India not used to lift weights in that way, because I know that they do in that way. I saw a lot of Persian wrestlers or Turkey wrestlers doing the exact same exercise. Okay, but I'm saying I don't have any proofs. I don't have evidence. The only evidence that I have is this guy, Charles Bata, for friends. A lot of people for that time in circus, in demonstration, in presentation, doing the same thing with people, with chariot axles, with people, with barbells, because I think there is only one way to lift weight efficiently from the ground. And it's the same in Turkey, in France, okay? But it seems that the get up in the kettlebell community, I think didn't come from Turkey, or maybe yes, but I don't have any evidence. I have a lot of evidence that it comes from Charles Bata, for France, from people from circus, from Sigmund Klein in the United States when he started to lift kettlebells. From Russian, I have a lot of Russian books with Russian doing this get up. So this is what we have right now. And I think it's the best way to exert force
Yeah, I love this.
from the ground to the get up position, because that's what you need if you're a wrestler. Come on, if you're a wrestler, you must be strong on the ground when you are getting up from the ground, and when you are coming back to the ground. You need to be strong in all that phases.
And that's what you shared with, when you shared this with me, this really put a whole, it opened up a whole different perspective on the get up. The idea of the get up is to get up from the ground, and in every step of the way as you get up, always being able to exert force from the ground.
Yes,
and
totally.
this really, this opened up, because you can say, well, I just get up like this, I roll up. Yes, but if you roll up like this, you're not able to exert force, because you don't have contact with your foot on the ground or with your the leg or anything. You just try to roll up, and then you have all of the weight on your back if you try to do it. But if you pull your leg in, like we do it in the Turkish get up, this was fascinating.
You are seeking for the real function of the exercise.
Most definitely.
And you will get the best of that exercise. And that's now, what we are looking for all the time. People like you and me.
And now I understand why martial artists and MMA guys, you mentioned the wrestlers, of course, and even the MMA guys, as soon as you wrestle somebody, you go down and back up. That's what you need. That's why the Turkish get up is so powerful for martial artists.
Yes.
See, that's what you said. When you know the history, you come back to its function. Man, this is,
I think that's the most important point that we made today, is all these videos. So people, maybe it would be a good idea if you write down at the bottom, and people please don't see this video, you only have to read this.
One sentence.
One sentence.
So we can say that Charles Pata, I mean, he and his contemporaries were all the heavyweights back then. It was Hackenschmidt, it was Pitla.
Yes.
We didn't talk about, but all these heavyweights from the physical culture, the early days of physical culture. So we can then say maybe that Charles Pata, he also influenced all these guys around him. I mean, he most definitely influenced Debonet, who talked about the kings of strength, right?
Yes.
So this is where he took then the next level, maybe through Krajewski and then Lebedev, and then that's where...
And he also influenced this guy, Milo Stable, the guy who invited the squad.
Yeah.
This Sherman guy who went to the States after World War I. Well, a lot of Sherman guys went to the States after World War I. And like Simon Klein, like Milo Steinborn, and as you know, at that time, the rack didn't exist.
Yeah.
So this guy he was trying to figure out how can I put a barbell on my shoulders without a rack, because the rack didn't exist. And he invited this kind of Steinborn lift,
the Steinborn squat.
The Steinborn squat.
Yeah.
That guys from they use today in the strongman.
Yeah.
Yes.
They do it.
They do it, and this guy also trained Turkish get up a lot. And you can see this guy trying to figure out how to do a modern squat, because it didn't exist.
Yeah, it was
at the same time, he was training the Turkish get up. And you can see the same, this guy, Aaron from Squat University. Maybe you can...
Dr. Aaron Horschig, of course. Squat University.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he's doing the same. He's doing the same squat, maybe better, because the times improve. And he's doing the same Turkish get up. He saw the benefits from the Turkish get up from your shoulder, for your core, for your body. So the history is repeating itself, I think.
Yes. Yeah. And
for
we
a
are
good
getting
thing.
back to the origins. That's why that's why the
Yes.
circle closes. And
I will tell you why. I will tell you why, because those guys were not seeking for a good physique or big bicep or something like that. Those guys were seeking for function. They need to use that force in order to improve her wrestling. They were trained in order to improve her health. And now it's the same. There are a lot of people that not only are seeking for a good physique, but they are seeking for a good health and good posture, and they are seeking for functional strength.
yeah.
I don't know if you like that.
You know what I
They are
think
looking
is
for functional strength.
and what I think is a great, an even better term is practical strength. Somebody said me this. He said,
okay,
I do not
yes.
use
Okay,
I do not
practical
use the
strength.
functional term anymore
Functional
because
is
it's
a
been so bastardized. Yeah, it's marketing.
It's a dangerous word today.
Yeah.
Yes, I know. Sorry.
But the practical, no, I mean, it's the
Practical
same. It's the
strength
same. But
is
practical
yes, it sounds
strength,
better.
yeah, practical strength is the idea that you use a tool because you need you want something done. So that's why you use this to get it. It's a means of transportation.
Yes,
I do
yes.
this because I want this.
I want to get that. Yes.
It's powerful. This is so powerful. So we have the Turkish get up.
Turkish get up.
The idea we have Steinborn. Yeah.
Sorry for sorry.
Yeah,
And
keep
I know
going.
people will start saying, you are denying the Turkish origin, but you keep on saying Turkish get up. Come on, man. I'm not. I think it's a good idea to keep the Turkish reference
Yeah.
because people know it in
They
that
know
way.
it. They know it.
And
They know
it's nice, and you can relate it to wrestling, and you can relate in this to practical strength. So for me, it's okay. Sometimes I call Turkish get up. Sometimes I call the get up.
Yeah.
Sometimes I call the visage, and sometimes I call unscrewing weight, and it's okay for me if more people understand what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. And there's meaning to the word. If we say it is
Cat with
the cat.
crazy.
she loves to be a part of the podcast too. So I mean, there is origins in it. Getting up from getting up, getting up from the ground, sitting Turkish style.
Like,
that's
Turkish. It's okay.
So there is origins, but who cares
me.
at the end? People know it people know the exercise by that name, so why not still use it? Who cares? Yeah.
Yes, it's perfect for me.
So wow, this is so incredibly fascinating, and it goes. You know, you have to have an open mind really to change some of the original perceptions that we have about kettlebells. Like we had this in back and forth in our WhatsApp messages, right?
We don't have to go so far. In the first Pavel's book, he didn't call Turkish get up. Come on, he called it the get up, and he didn't even call that way because Steve Maxwell is the guy who I think
he brought it into the curriculum.
Yes, he brought it in the curriculum because I know Steve Maxwell is like a guy who studied a lot of old books, and maybe he saw it in the Bonomo's book, Sean Bonomo's book for 1945 or something like that. And he says, I read one time, I don't know where, he said that he took it from Sean Shee's books. Sean Shees was a wrestler from the 70s. He has, let me see, I need my glasses. And in his book, Wrestling Physical Conditioning Encyclopedia from 1974,
Wow.
I have
Yeah.
the picture.
Fascinating.
He's doing some kind of Turkish get up with a dumbbell, with a maybe 4 kilos dumbbell,
Yeah.
but it's perfect for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think Steve Maxwell took it from here, or maybe from Bolomo's book, or maybe from Klein's book, or maybe, I don't know, from Charles Bata. I don't know, or maybe for a wrestling coach, because this kind of movement, it's some wrestling coach do it in his physical conditioning.
GPP, yeah.
Yes, in his GPP, and nobody calls Turkish get up in the 2000s, and maybe in 2003 or 2004, some guys started to call it Turkish get up in some forums, all forums. I don't know, because I don't have any proof of reference, but I have a lot of evidence that they didn't call Turkish get up. And I think it's okay. This our life are not in danger here for saying this.
Yeah.
Or maybe yes, or maybe
Depending
or
on
maybe you are dead right now.
Yeah.
Depend. Yes.
So
Who is-
yeah, and one thing that we can maybe assert right here, or insert, is we all, many of us, when we discovered the kettlebell, it was like, wow. I mean, Pavel is credited with the Renaissance. I used to call it the revolution in the 2000s.
I
but it's
love
actually
that
a
word.
Renaissance.
Renaissance is
It's a way
beautiful,
better-
man. It's your word.
Better. It's way
It's
better.
great.
And the reason
Renaissance.
that's after your study, after checking your research and studying your research, we can conclude that Pavel reintroduced the kettlebell
Yes.
in the Western hemisphere, but because we human beings forget our history, we were like, ooh, there's something new. And it may even be that Dragon Door, back in the days, in the marketing material, of course they used Pavel's origin. And of course Pavel has these great names. For example, Vrashevsky, or I forgot his name now, the book that I downloaded from him. You have great minds in the Russian, in the Soviet Union.
Yes,
back in the
totally,
day.
totally.
Of course, these are great minds that we have to listen to. And of course it was included in the marketing material. But maybe we, the consumers, took it maybe too far. Maybe Paul was like, hey, I didn't intend.
I think it's not. I think I don't want to speak ill about anything. I think it's not Pavel's fault,
No, it's
because
not.
I read all Pavel's book, and Pavel's all those names that
Yeah.
we will say here, Pavel put it in his book. He say, oh, this
always,
is from Theodore Siebert book.
Yeah.
This is from Arthur Saxon. The bench press belong to this guy. I think.
And we have to respect this. We sorry
Yes.
if I
Totally.
interrupt, but we have to respect this. That if you read any of Pavel's books, he always mentions
Yes.
the guys.
He always mentions-
Riff. He mentions Maxwell. He mentions Dan John. He mentions everybody. And that's
Yes.
what we have to really insert this and say, listen, he is maybe the mediator, and he is maybe the pivotal figure, but he stands on the shoulder of giants and he mentions them.
Yes. I think the problem is not him; it's ours as a public, that we expect a lot for people, and maybe sometimes we mythify people. That's one of the that's one of the dangers to being here in this YouTube channel. Maybe that the most dangerous thing is people want to mythify you, and at first you will see, oh, it's great, people like me, I am the best, I'm Gregory, I will beat up Jeronimo's YouTube channel, and then I will beat up all the YouTube channels, and it's great and feels great, but it's really dangerous, man. It's really dangerous because people like to mythify.
Yeah.
other people,
Yeah.
and that's really dangerous because at the end of the day, you are a guy, you are a person like Siebert, like Arthur Saxon, or whatever guy from the street. I don't know. We are all the same at the end of the day.
And some, somebody, as you're saying this, something crosses my mind, because you're saying people are mystifying or mythifying or deifying people. They're idolized people. And one of my clients, he told me, he said, you know why God is the only being on earth that's supposed to be celebrated and worshipped? Because men and human beings were not made to be worshipped. Because if we worship human beings, what happens to them? They totally go crazy. When a human being is not supposed to be worshipped, only God is supposed to be worshipped. Because we human beings, we cannot handle being
You can
worshipped like
handle, man.
gods. Even
You
if
can
we
handle.
think we do.
You can handle the truth, man.
Yeah.
How Jack Nicholson say? You can handle the truth.
Yeah.
You don't know how to deal with the truth, or something like that.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
saying in Spanish, I think.
Yeah. Oh, this is fascinating, man, Jeronimo. So we've covered a lot in this podcast.
We cover a lot of things, yes.
Yeah, covered a lot of things. 90 minutes has been rolling now. Now, listen, I think let me just finish or as final remarks.
Yes.
I want to mention to everybody listening to this podcast that and watching the video, that it was you who opened up my eyes to the original truth, or just like the origins of kettlebells, and even more so the originators of physical culture in general, around starting from Felice Napoli de Tornes up to Lebedev, Klein, Pavel, and all these people that we have to show appreciation for. And you mentioned how Siebert died alone, without anything, and with
poverty, yes.
In poverty.
He was prosecuted by the Nazis. State.
Yeah.
He had very hard time.
Yeah, very hard time. And this also, I mean, the prosecution from the Nazi state, that's something different. But it also goes to show, Jeronimo, how important it is that if you put things out and if you share material, that your marketing has to be strong. You have to make it edible. You have to lead the horse to the water. I mean, the water, you can't make the horse drink water, but you can lead it to the water. So we have to do it. And if you're not doing it, because we have a lot of coaches and trainers listening and watching this podcast and watching the videos. And I think it's so important for us coaches, especially people who are really passionate about kettlebells, passionate about training or nutrition or whatever have you, just passionate about physical culture in general, that you have to have the expertise, yes, but you also have to market yourself. Look at Sandow.
Yes, he was the best marketer in history. He invited the bodybuilding world. He finishing selling cocoa, and he has his own brand of food. He was incredible, the marketing that he has.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's important for, if we study even the history, you see how the guys who were strong marketers as well, they knew how to pull the strings. It's not selling snake oil. That's another route. But being able to really sell the package, being certain in what you say, and having research and backing things up is great. But you have to have some kind of personality. You have to have some kind of marketing skills. It's so important. Look at Pavel.
Let me say another Finnish word. When you say trying to sell, for some people, it could sound it can sound not good, because you're trying to sell me. But for me, when you are trying to sell something, you must put in the mind of the other guy when you try to sell something, and that's a lot, because it requires empathy. Okay, it's not only trying to sell something. Because right now, you and me here in YouTube, you are trying to sell something. people don't know what, but we're trying to sell something. You don't know what.
Yeah.
But we're trying to sell you something.
Yeah.
But to trying to sell is not a bad thing, because it requires a lot of empathy with the other person. You need to put it in the other mind to understand what the other people need or what the other people want.
Most definitely. Empathy is such a strong word. And if I can put it in one sentence, you know how I call it? I'm trying to sell you enthusiasm.
Right.
If I'm able to sell you enthusiasm that sparks inside your heart, then, and I love it, I have the same mission like Sean Mosen, then you don't need me anymore. That's what Sean says. Sean says, my job is to make myself unuseful at the end of the day. That you can go out on your own, and then you can share it.
Yes, that sounds reasonable for me. Yes.
Brother, I think, hey man, Jeronimo, of course we have to do it again. It's with so many guests that I have on, I always say this, we have to do it again. And many people are, it's a reoccurring theme with Dan John. I'll have Funk Roberts on again. All these great folks. I love talking to you again. But one thing, you have to. One thing that I have to mention is I want to invite you as well into the Kettlebell Avengers. The Kettlebell Avengers idea is where I put you on the email list. Then every 2 to 3 months, I send out an invitation where I'm saying, okay, all you experts that appeared on the channel, we're doing one collaboration on one particular time where people can vote, and then you can be partakers and say, yes, I want to join, and then you and then 4 another kettlebell experts will join together and we have conversation.
Great for me.
Are you accepting the invitation?
Probably yes. Yes.
Probably
yes. We will see. We will see how things going. We will see if people like this video. Probably yes.
Awesome.
You have to know that people from Argentina have a special sense of humor. Come on. So if I say something that probably it hurts you or you don't like, is because we in Argentina we have a strange sense of humor. It's a mixture like England sense of humor or British sense of humor, something like that. Yes,
it's great. And you know what the beautiful thing is, when I get to talk to these experts like you from around the world, it enriches my thinking. And it expands my horizon on not only kettlebells, but just culture and life, physical culture and life in general. And I'm so grateful, man.
I would say the same. Everything you say right now is the same for me.
Amen.
It was an honor for me.
Awesome.
To be here.
Awesome. Brother, I really enjoyed having you on. I'm letting you know the next time we can set it up again. I'm sending the invite out once the Avengers are up.
Thank you very much.
And of course, at the end, we have to mention again, we find your book, which is responsible for a lot of the content that we did, in the description. You can download it. If you're on Spotify and you're listening to it, make sure you head to our YouTube channel, check out the video where you find the description. You can buy a Jeronimo's book. And please, guys, if we brought you, you're welcome. You don't have to say thank you, man. Because, guys, if you're listening and watching, if we brought you any value, please buy Jeronimo's book, because it's filled with history, proof, documents. It's worded interestingly. It's a great read. It's, I think, 150 or 60 pages. It's not a very long read. It's great with a lot of images. And you did a lot of work and research for it. So guys, please buy his book. So Jeronimo, thank you very much for joining. It was an honor.
Very much,
it was a pleasure. I'll catch you in the next one. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Bye, Jeronimo. Thank you. Bye.
Bye, guys. Thanks.
90 Days of Kettlebells is an online workout course for beginners who want to train at home, lose weight, and achieve lasting results without wasting time and money with crash diets and unused gym memberships. The program works as follows. You will do 3 kettlebell workouts per week that gradually increase in difficulty. You'll also build 3 powerful eating habits that have proven successful in our coaching. As the name implies, the program lasts 90 days and you will have lifelong access after purchase. We also include live accountability sessions where you will publicly state your goals. Psychology shows us that if we make our goals public, our adherence to the process and the program increases dramatically. If you have been struggling to put together an elaborate kettlebell workout system while trying to lose weight, then 90 Days of Kettlebells is for you. The price of 90 Days of Kettlebells is $59 per month for 3 months, and you can save 20% with a one-time payment of $147. We'll open registration only to a small number of new clients. Join the waiting list now to get access 24 hours before the general public. Link is in the description.